Hello and welcome to my channel. From the title of this video, you probably know that we will be talking about a very uncomfortable topic, which is money and finances, but I believe it's a very important topic to discuss in the context of grief because it's not very black and white. Everyone has a completely different financial situation when it comes to grief, and also that topic, money and grief, comes with a lot of assumptions and stereotypes that are probably not true when it comes to young widow like myself. I know this video will attract quite a few new viewers, so I probably should introduce myself. My name is Andrea. I am 35 years old and I lost my husband in autumn 2024, so it will be 14 months soon. We unfortunately didn't have children. I might talk about that topic in a different video, but yeah, we never had children, so now I live in our house by myself with my lovely rescue dog Finn. I also believe that context is everything, so I would like to give you some kind of context to my situation. In the UK where I live, and I believe in a lot of developed countries, young widow or widower is considered someone who is under the age of 50. Let that sink in. If you are under the age of 35, you are considered very young widow or widower. So I was just freshly 34, so I found myself in a situation of very young widowhood, which is very unique circumstance that is backed up by statistics, by just people's reaction to my situation, because most people can't relate, and for a good reason, the stats supporting that. So I am a very young widow, which is a unique situation, like I said, but also on top of it, I do not have children, which puts me into, like the Venn diagram is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. So the amount of people who are young widows or widowers without children is very, very, very small. And unfortunately, there are quite a few people that when I mentioned that I am a widow, they just rightly assume that I have children. So even under my previous videos, a lot of comments saying, and at least you have children, they will be the guiding light in your life, you have something to focus on, and I didn't correct them because I feel like I know that these comments came from a good place, so I didn't want to put that commenter in a very uncomfortable situation, mentioning that actually I don't have children. So that's the context. Luckily, I am in a very fortunate situation that I am employed by a lovely, huge international company, but that understands people's needs. So when I first got widowed, I went on statutory bereavement leave, which in the UK is 1 week. And then I basically went on a sick leave that was for 3 months. I'm very fortunate that my company offers 3 months of sick leave completely covered under 100% of your salary. And then if I wanted to extend that to another 3 months, so be off for 6 months, the salary would drop to 70%. And then after 6 months, it would go to statutory sick leave, which is unfortunately pittance. So from that situation, I knew that I have up to 3 months to just get my life together and just get into certain mental space to either return to work or extend my sick leave for another 3 months and lose 30% of my salary. And I must say, because this is a topic about money, my decision to return to work after the 3 months, 90% of my decision was supported by the fact that I just needed to stay on 100% of my salary. So going back to work was purely financial decision. And 10% of my decision was me needing to return to kind of normalcy and life that doesn't revolve around my mental health and my grief, that just requires me using different parts of my brain and kind of excusing myself a couple hours to not think about my grief. So 90% purely financial decision, 10% mental health decision of me returning to work. And that is unfortunately that huge context that a lot of young widows and widowers come to realize that yes, one day you had 2 full incomes and the next it's just 1 income, and you have to cover all of the expenses that you had yesterday, but just from your own salary. And on top of it, because you find yourself in this really heartbreaking situation, you also need to find a lump sum of money to cover a funeral, all of the funeral expenses. So, and from obviously my situation, you know that, and your own situation, you know that young people do not save for their funeral costs. Yes, grandparents, older people try to save some kind of pot of money to help their loved ones to cover their funeral costs. But as a young person, you don't do that. You save for buying a house, you save for maybe a retirement, all of your other things. You want to buy a new car, you want to have children, all of those things. But funeral never comes to that equation. So from day one of your grief, you have loads of deadmin, a lot of admin that you need to sort, figure it out. And because you're quite young, it's probably highly likely that it's your first time ever doing any deadmin. Then you need to find a huge lump sum of money to cover your loved one's funeral cost. And then you also come to the realization that now all of the things that you paid for from 2 salaries is on you. So that's the huge context that I just wanted to give you. Now I will be speaking about my personal situation. Everyone's situation is different. So I just wanted to show one side of the story. So some of you will feel that it's relatable. Some of you might feel that it's quite eye-opening. So the first part is, because my husband was a very young man, he didn't have hundreds of thousands saved in his pension pot. He had very modest, low 5-figure in his pension pot that unfortunately wouldn't make any big dent into a mortgage or any other expenses. So I've decided that I will move his pension pot into mine and kind of squirrel that modest amount and support hopefully my pension one day. We all know that getting old is not a guarantee, it's a privilege, but I had to decide what to do with it, and that was my personal decision to just move his pension pot into mine. That is a quite big difference between young widow and widowers, or very young widow and widowers, and older population. There is no huge inheritance, there is no huge lump sum of money that accumulated and that accrue huge interests, because he had less than 10 years of his career. So as your salary grows, you send more and more into your pension pot, but he never got that. He never got into his later age where a mortgage is paid off and he can sacrifice half of his salary to his pension. So he's never had that. Second part is, people will mention when you're young, you will unfortunately get certain comments about obviously you have money because he left you a lot of money, or oh, you got paid his life insurance. And that might be a case for a lot of people, because it's quite sensible to set up a life insurance if you have mortgage, and especially if you have dependents. In our situation, A, we didn't have dependents, and B, yes, we did set up life insurance for myself, but no insurer wanted to insure my husband. He had a chronic disease that had nothing to do with his passing, but that automatically disqualified him from any life insurance. So, no, I didn't receive any life insurance that would cover all of our outstanding mortgage. No, I didn't receive any other life insurance lump sum that would help me to just have a little bit of breather to process my grief and not to return to work immediately. That was really unfortunate, and I must say, after my husband's passing, I cancelled my life insurance, because there is no one actually needing the roof over their heads or the lump sum of money that will come out of my inheritance. So I cancelled mine, and I feel a little bit vindicated after what they did, to my husband. But that is a situation. Insurers are quite strict, and they don't want to put themselves into a position that they would have to actually pay out. And then the last part is any governmental support. I know that a lot of young widows or widowers receive some kind of benefits because they have dependents, and obviously the loss of income is quite life-changing. So universal credit, any other supports are basically not offered to me, and I don't expect them to be honest. I am in a very, as I said, lucky and privileged situation that I have a stable career, a growing career. I receive quite a competitive salary for the UK. I don't expect the government to support me and just cover my cost at all. And I feel like it should be there for people who need it. But no, I'm not receiving any further support from the government. I touched on it before. After you come out of that fog of grief, you just realize that all of your expenses are exactly the same as they were when your husband or your wife was here. So you still need to pay mortgage, insurance on the house. If you have a car, which I do, you need to pay for that. You need to pay for insurance. I have a dog, I need to pay for his insurance and his vet's bills, etc. And you need to cover all of your other costs and the other bills. So water, electricity, gas, all of them are the same. So yeah, all of the expenses are on you from the day one, and you just need to get on with it, unfortunately. And as I said, I'm lucky enough to have a really good salary, so I won't be losing my house. I know from the groups that I am part of, some people, obviously because they are very young widows, they don't even have a house, they are renting, and they can't support themselves, they can't cover the rent, so they need to move out of their secured housing, or they can't cover the mortgage payments, so they need to sell and move. I might sell one day, it just won't be from financial pressures. I'm really privileged. I acknowledge my privilege in that sense. So that was a massive thing, that massive shift in my thinking of like, I'm now properly alone on everything, not only on life, but also on finances, on sorting everything. And I must say also, I was quite lucky enough that I was involved in our financial planning, like life financial planning. I was involved in our mortgage. I have interest in finance and in savings and investments, so I wasn't completely in the dark, and that probably helped tremendously on my side, that I knew what we set up, what we had, what to do. I am quite financially savvy, so I would encourage all of you, if you're still in partnership, to really get interested in your finances. Don't leave it on your significant other, because you never know. They might not be here for whatever reason, and you will add another issue into already massively devastating situation. So I encourage everyone to take care of their finances and understand what's coming in, what's going out, and how they can secure themselves for the future. And for anyone who is not in similar situation, please don't ever say to a widow or widower, oh, it happened to me, I broke up with my husband, I got divorced, I broke up with my partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, etc., and try to relate to it as like that's the same situation, because unfortunately it's not. Breakup doesn't happen, hopefully, doesn't happen suddenly. You don't hear from someone, I'm breaking up with you and I'm stopping payments. If you share mortgage, you can't just stop from one day to another. You will be sorting that out, but you have some kind of run-up time to figure everything out. And also, it's not the same, because you're not trying to navigate this massive black hole of grief that is devouring all of the joy and all of those life moments and tinting everything with this kind of black cloud, and you're just doing your best not to fall apart, whilst also going through life like a normal functioning human. I really hope this was helpful and you really allow me this indulgence of talking about money. I know it's not anyone's favorite topic, and people in the UK certainly do not like to talk about money. So I hope this was slightly eye-opening, and I hope that you will enjoy the rest of the video that is not related to money. Thank you very much for watching the video. I filmed it a couple days ago, and I must say, with every day I feel more and more apprehensive and scared to post it because it is dealing with very sensitive and personal topic that relies really heavily on context, personal circumstances, and also people's understanding. So I hope that it was useful, me opening up and sharing and talking about something that is quite a topic that people don't like to talk about, which is personal finances. So I hope it was useful. I hope it reaches more people, and I also hope that if you're new to this channel, you like this video and you subscribe. It really helps to reach more people and build this community of very, very supportive individuals that like to talk to each other in the comments and support each other, uplift each other. Thank you again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.